Welcome back to Movie Recap. Today I will share with you a classic horror sci-fi movie from 1962. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie begins with a depressed voice of a woman pleading to let her die. She says she'd be deadly. A team of 4 doctors try to save a dying patient. One of the lead surgeons, Dr. Cortner, says that he should have known that the patient was not going to survive. The fellow surgeon, his son, Dr. Bill Cortner, asks for his permission to do things his way. Dr. Cortner says that the operation theater wasn't a place for experiments. Dr. Bill says that he was already dead, so he couldn't do any harm to him. So, Dr. Cortner allows him. The young surgeon asks the crew to make an opening in the patient's chest to access the heart, apply 100 milliamps current, and massage by hand while he takes over the brain area by himself. The doctors get to work. Dr. Bill applies some current to the brain of the dead patient. The patient starts to move his fingers and a weak pulse is picked up. Dr. Cortner warns him that he should not be taking such a risk. He could have the patient paralyzed for life. Dr. Bill casually replies that anyone would choose to be paralyzed over being dead. Dr. Cortner says he should not act like a god taking decisions of life and death for patients. Dr. Bill replies that when it comes to an obstetrician making a choice about saving the mother or the baby, who is the god then? Taking risks is part of the game. Dr. Cortner annoyingly says that this is not a jigsaw puzzle he could experiment on.
Human body's not a jigsaw puzzle to experiment on.
Dr. Bill says that he has been working on his technique for weeks in his laboratory. He was only looking for an opportunity to try it. The patient's pulse keeps growing stronger. Dr. Cortner still disapproves of Dr. Bill's experiment on a patient. Dr. Bill asks Dr. Cortner to stop massaging the heart to see if it takes on by itself. The patient starts breathing again. His pulse is strong and steady. Dr. Cortner says Dr. Bill had performed a miracle. He didn't approve his method, but is impressed by the results. The patient is wheeled out of the operation theater. Dr. Cortner commends his son for the amazing surgery he just performed, but still disapproves the method to be used for other patients, as they still don't know what the after effects would be. As they wash their hands, Dr. Cortner advises Dr. Bill to stop experimenting on people. He should be carrying out his experiments on lab animals, such as mice, rabbits, or monkeys. Dr. Bill says that being a surgeon is more than being able to sew the organs back together. They should be experimenting to find new ways of cure. Otherwise, there is no difference between a surgeon and a plumber or a carpenter. He shares his idea of transplanting damaged organs and limbs in patients like they transplant corneas. Dr. Cortner says it was impossible. Dr. Bill tries to convince his dad and tells him that he has discovered a compound which will help with the organ transplants. Dr. Bill's fiancée, Jan Compton, enters the room. She says she is proud of him. She makes a joke that they should not be hugging and kissing in front of his dad, as they're colleagues and his dad might report them. Dr. Cortner has to attend a medical conference, so he asks Jan to check his reservations at the airport. Jan leaves, and Dr. Cortner advises Bill that there is a fine line between scientific genius and obsessive fanatics. He should be on the right side. Bill is insistent that he has found the method of organ transplantation, and he should be allowed access to the human limbs and parts in the hospital so he didn't have to steal them. Soon, Jan arrives back and tells Dr. Cortner that his reservations have been made. Dr. Cortner asks their plans for the weekend, and Bill says they're going to have a quiet one. Dr. Cortner tells Bill not to go to their country house, as he suspects he uses it for his scientific experiments. But Bill makes up an excuse that he likes it there, as it is a quiet place. Before leaving, Dr. Cortner gives the final words to Bill, telling him not to go too far with his experiments. After he goes, Jan tells Bill that she is eager to be his bride. Bill says that they would get married in a few weeks. As they come out of the operating theater, a nurse comes looking for Bill. She informs him of a phone call that warns that something terrible has happened at the country house. Bill asks Jan to accompany him, as she wonders where he is when he's busy on most weekends. On their way to the country house, Jan asks Bill why did he not bring her there ever before. Bill replies that the things he does there require no audience. Jan asks what might be wrong at the country house that the phone call warned of. Bill says they will find out when they get there. He accelerates the car to reach there faster. The road is dangerous and full of sharp curves and turns. On a winding road, Bill speeds through a stop sign and hits a car at the end of the road. The car slips off the road and rolls down the hill. Bill, fortunately, falls out of the car and lands safely on the ground. He gets up to find that the car has caught fire. He runs to the car and sees that Jan has been decapitated. Bill saves her head from catching fire, wraps it in his jacket, and runs toward his country house. Shattered with tiredness, he climbs the mansion's stairs as he notices blood on his hand. He rushes to the basement where Kurt, his crippled laboratory assistant, opens the door. Bill asks Kurt to sterilize the tubes and apparatus so they can save his fiancée. Kurt keeps asking him to look in the closet first, but Bill is in a hurry as the time is precious. Bill prepares a liquid, and hours later, he succeeds to revive Jan's head in the liquid tray. Jan, nothing but a head at this point, says random words like fire and burning, as these were the last things she saw.
Burning.
Bill tells Kurt that all his life has shaped up to save the love of his life. He discloses his plan that he would find a body for her and transplant her brain into it. Kurt disapproves Bill's idea of turning his love into a horror experiment. He claims that a body has a heart and, most importantly, a soul, which Bill can't put into a body. Bill is adamant that he will succeed in keeping Jan alive and tells her head to rest and grow stronger. Kurt reminds Bill of his failed transplant surgery that he had performed on Kurt, which made him crippled. Bill reasons with him that it was the early days of his research. Now he has found the perfect compound and failure is unlikely. Bill advises him not to tell the police or anyone of him coming there. There wasn't a chance of suspicion as the car had burned and they wouldn't know Jan's head was missing. Kurt asks Bill to take a look in the closet before he leaves. It was the reason for him calling Bill out to the country house. Bill goes to the closet. Strange noises are coming from it. He opens the hatch to the closet to look inside. He bites his hand out of remorse, seeing it. He quickly closes the hatch and tells Kurt to keep the closet door securely locked. Kurt says that the thing grows stronger at night and almost broke the door before. Bill says that he has Jan to think about now and he needs to get a body for her within the next 48 hours. Bill looks at the seducing cutouts of the beautiful girls outside a burlesque nightclub and goes inside to search for his subject. An attractive bar dancer in a sexy costume dances for him and goes to the changing room after finishing her act. While she is away, Bill gets into a conversation with another dancer. The dancer returns and sits next to Bill, who quickly shifts his attention towards her. After a few rounds of drinks, the dancer gets up to go to her dressing room, giving him a meaningful smile at the door. Bill follows her. They start talking when she says that she could tell he was a tourist. Bill flirts with her and asks her to come to his house. She refuses and says she could stay there with her friends as she was the leading lady at the club. While the club dancer tries to make out with Bill, he tells her they should return back to her home. The club dancer says that she needs to perform another act before she can leave. Bill emphasizes that he needs to hurry, as he has to get to someone who needs his help. As both of them start kissing, the other dancer enters the room. She taunts the lead dancer for making out with the charming man who everyone else wants. Both of them start arguing. Bill sees his chance of getting the body for Jan slipping away, so he gets up to leave. Both women ask him to come back, so they make it up for him. When Bill leaves, the women get involved in squabbles and start fighting. Little do they know, they had just saved each other's life. Meanwhile, at the laboratory, Jan opens her eyes and keeps pleading to let her die. Jan communicates with the mysterious creature in the closet telepathically. She tells it that it is agonizing being in her state, and she despises Bill for doing this to her. She asks her if she is the first experiment gone wrong. The creature knocks on the door as an answer. Kurt tries to listen from outside the lab door. Jan discloses that she has got a power that Bill doesn't realize he has created. She will harness the power, and the monster in the closet will enforce it. Together, they will get their revenge on Bill. Kurt enters the lab as the monster in the closet keeps banging the door in affirmation to Jan's plans. As Kurt goes closer to the door, there is a loud bang on the door. Kurt is startled and moves away. Jan starts laughing maniacally. She asks Kurt who is behind the closet. Kurt replies it is horror, a terrible experiment of Dr. Bill. He informs Jan that he has done multiple experiments on bodies and himself. He further adds that he had collected some tissues from amputated limbs and using the liquid he made, created a lump of human tissues with it. Until now, the lump of tissues had no life. However, the new liquid he formulated had made her alive. Jan despises Bill even more and says he had no right to bring her back there. Kurt says that Dr. Bill did transplantation experiments on him many times. He failed every time, but he had learned from his mistakes. Jan condemns him for staying by his side in this grotesque work. Kurt tells Jan his story. He was a surgeon, and as a result of a lab accident, he lost his arm. Dr. Bill was his only hope, as he didn't want to stay in the outside world where people would pity him for not having an arm, and show disgust with him for the arm he had now. Jan says that Bill used him for his experiments. She says it is impossible for another body to accept her transplanted brain. Kurt informs her that the new serum, which was untested until now, has the ability to deactivate the lymph nodes for the transplant to work. Jan laughs and says that she can feel the results of this serum that Bill wouldn't expect. Kurt thinks that by results, she means the miserable-looking arm he has. But Jan says the liquid he injected to her brain has given her immense power. Kurt says that she is just a head at the mercy of some elements. Jan says that she is in touch with the thing behind the door, and she can manifest her power through it. She calls out to the thing behind the door, and it starts banging the door. She tells it that she's the head, and it is the body she needs. Together, they are powerful. The thing in the closet slams at the door strongly. Kurt gets scared and runs out of the lab and bumps into Bill. Bill asks, what is he scared of? Kurt replies, it is him to be scared of. There is uncontrollable power taking a rise in the laboratory. Bill proudly replies there is nothing he can't control and excuses himself to go to sleep as he needs to find a body for Jan the next day. Kurt anxiously asks why he didn't find one yet, to which Bill replies that he didn't want to be seen with the victim before she disappeared. Bill doesn't bother to check what's going on in the lab and drives out hunting for his victim. He looks at women walking on the sidewalks with lustful eyes. Soon, he sets his eyes on one of them. At first, she is uncomfortable with his stares, but soon she recognizes Bill. They have had a one-night stand, and Donna, the woman, was still waiting for his call. Bill asks her what she is up to, and Donna replies that she participated in a beauty contest but couldn't make it to the finals. She was going to see the finale. Donna hops on in to Bill's car. Bill tells her that he has to stop by his country house first before they go to the beauty contest finale, and she happily consents. When they're about to leave, Jeannie, Donna's neighbor, comes along and asks for a lift. Donna invites her to go along. Bill tries to take a pardon from both of them but doesn't succeed. At the beauty contest, the host welcomes all and invites the final 5 women one by one on the stage. The best body beauty is to be chosen by the applause of the audience. Bill lustfully watches each of them. Donna comments at the girl who gets the maximum applause that she has the second nicest body she has ever seen. Bill exclaims, "Who was the first one?" Donna tells him that it was of Doris Powell, their schoolfellow. She was a figure model and had met an accident. She stayed at the studio and posed for arts. Bill finds it as a perfect opportunity. As he thinks to himself that she was a failed model and had the nicest body, he could lure her into his experiment easily. Jan is able to hear his thoughts. Jan tells the Beast about his intentions to murder someone as her hate for him increases. She tells the Beast that they have to stop his egotism that he falsely tags as his research for humanity. The Beast slams the door as an onboard signal. Bill finds Doris's studio, and as he goes in, she is posing for cameramen in a two-piece. The cameramen excitingly shoot her, and Bill sits in a corner. He likes what he sees. Doris calls, "Pack up," and all the cameramen leave. One of the cameramen stays back and offers Doris for drinks and a private shoot. He offers her big money. Doris coldly refuses that she only does this for classes on Wednesdays and Saturdays. When he leaves, Doris tells Bill to leave and to buy a ticket and bring a camera along next time he's there. Bill reminds her who he was. Doris remembers him, but she isn't impressed with his introduction and declares that she hates all men. She says she trusted a man all the way and all he gave her were jealous lies. She lifts her hair off her face to show Bill the burn scar that her ex-boyfriend gave her. Doris is amazed that Bill doesn't turn away, as most of the other men do, out of disgust. Bill holds her face and says that he only sees beauty in her. He suggests that his father is the best plastic surgeon there is, and they can help her. Doris says that she has been to doctors, but her scar tissue is too deep to be fixed. Bill tries to convince her that it was a few years ago. Now they could graft tissues, and it wasn't a hard task to make her face beautiful again. Doris says she wanted to believe him, but his eyes tell her something's wrong. Bill tries to convince her that just because she has been batted by many people, she shouldn't lose trust in everybody. Doris says that even if it was possible, she wouldn't be able to afford it. Bill says she doesn't have to worry about the money. Doris suspiciously asks what's in it for him if he doesn't need money. Bill cleverly says that he's going to chop off her head and give her body away, to which Doris laughs, not realizing that he is stating the truth. But the trick serves his purpose, and she agrees to go with him. He tells her that his father is staying at the country house for the weekend. If she wants to get the consultation now, they could go now, or she can wait for him to come back to the city. She gets up to call her girlfriend to let her know, but Bill cunningly convinces her not to tell her as they don't know what is his father's decision. Doris tries to leave a note for her girlfriend where she's at, but Bill tells her not to. He says she could tell her after the consultation. As she goes behind the separator to change, Bill passes her a notepad and pen to write a note. She writes that she is going out with her old friend Bill Cortner, she'll be back soon, and gives it to Bill to put it beside the lamp. Doris says that she's going to leave the lights on so it will be the first place she looks. Bill replaces her note for a blank paper and puts the note in his pocket. Back at the laboratory, Jan bucks up the monster to slam the door harder so the hinges break. She says that they have to see each other's hideousness to see who's more terrible. Jan thinks that it couldn't be worse than Jan herself, as she was just a head who should be in her grave. She says she hates him for what he did to her. The beast keeps banging the door. Suddenly, Jan tells it to stop as someone is coming. She closes her eyes to pretend as if she were sleeping. Kurt comes in with some food in a tray to feed the monster. He discloses that it was an experimental organism that Bill had created by joining the amputated limbs and torso. Then he injected him with the primitive life-giving liquid, but it wasn't as successful as the one he used for Jan. Kurt is excited as he'd been able to have a normal arm if Jan's experiment is successful. Jan instigates Kurt to open the door to let her see what was in there and says that he was afraid of them. Kurt ridicules that she is only a head and thinks of herself as being powerful. As he leaves the hatch in the closet door open and taunts Jan he wishes she has a lifetime of agony, the beast grabs him. Jan tells the beast to kill Kurt. He snaps his healthy arm off. Kurt dies of his injuries as Jan laughs hysterically. When Bill returns to the country house with Doris, he offers to make her a drink. When he goes to the lab to grab the drink, he sees Kurt dead, but it doesn't take him off his plan. He mixes some medicine in Doris's drink to render her unconscious. When she is out, he brings her down to the lab. He tells Jan that he brought the body he promised for her. As he prepares Doris for the operation, he says that it was a crime he was committing to advance science by years. Jan keeps condemning him, so he tapes her mouth shut. The monster in the closet starts banging the door as he prepares to slit Doris's throat. Bill goes to quiet the monster, then it grabs him through the hatch and breaks the door from its hinges. A 7-foot giant with a horribly deformed head comes out of it. They start a fight, and their struggles set the lab ablaze. The monster bites a chunk from Bill's neck. He dies, and the monster carries the unconscious Doris to safety. As the lab goes up in flames, Jan says, "I told you to let me die." The screen goes black, followed by an evil cackle.